Hey everyone, welcome. So today we're diving into this really fascinating intellectual puzzle. It kind of challenges everything we think we know about truth and meaning. We're going to explore how a single sacred text can act like a key, and not just a key that unlocks things, but one that actually goes back and changes the meaning of an entire library of teachings that came before it. Wild, right? So let's just start with this one core question. What if the most important book you could ever read, the one that's supposed to hold the ultimate truth, what if you just couldn't understand it by itself? It's a total paradox, right? And believe it or not, this is the exact puzzle a 13th century Buddhist reformer decided to tackle. Okay, so at the very heart of this whole mystery is a text called the Lotus Sutra. Now, this is a huge deal in Mahayana Buddhism, one of its most influential scriptures. But for this reformer we're talking about, a 13th century Japanese monk named Nichiren, well, for him, it wasn't just another book. No, it was the key to a puzzle that spanned the Buddha's entire lifetime of teaching. All right, so how do we start to unravel this? The key to the whole puzzle begins with what we can call the asymmetrical rule. You see, Nichiren noticed something really strange. The Lotus Sutra it doesn't play by the same rules as all the other scriptures that came before it. And here it is, straight from the source. Nichiren is being crystal clear here. He says if you really want to get the Lotus Sutra, you absolutely have to study what came before. And this isn't, a friendly suggestion, it's a prerequisite. You can't understand it otherwise. But, and this is the kicker, as we're about to see, this rule only works one way. And this is exactly where that asymmetry just pops right out. Think of it like a one-way street. You can pick up any of those earlier pre-Lotus Sutras, study them on their own, and yeah, you'll get their core meaning. But the Lotus Sutra? Totally different. It demands the context of everything that came before it to even begin to reveal its true significance. It needs that backstory. Okay, so you're probably thinking, if the Lotus Sutra is so dependent on all these other texts, then what's its real purpose? What's the point? Well, this is where Nichiren's vision just completely flips the script. The Lotus Sutra isn't just the final chapter in a long book. It's something way, way more powerful. Nichiren's big idea is this. The Lotus Sutra is a master key. It's not just another teaching in a series. No, its entire function is to go back in time, so to speak, and unlock the hidden, deeper meanings inside all those other sutras. Meanings you literally could not see before you had this key. So what this means is that the relationship isn't just one book after another, in chronological order. It's transformative. The Lotus Sutra doesn't just tack on some new information at the end. It actively goes back and changes the earlier teachings by revealing this incredible depth that was there the whole time, just hidden, waiting for the right light. And this transformative power is, well, it's profound. Like Nichiren says, once you have this key, the Lotus Sutra, you can suddenly find the perfect, ultimate teaching contained within each single word of all those earlier sutras. It's like putting on a special pair of glasses or a new lens that brings the entire body of work into razor-sharp focus. So this raises a pretty big question, right? Was this all just a happy accident, or was it part of some grand plan? Well, according to Nichiren, this crazy level of interconnectedness was absolutely 100% intentional. It was all part of a huge structured narrative designed by the Buddha from day one. So Nichiren saw the Buddha's entire teaching career as this perfectly constructed story, kind of like a three-act play. Act 1 is the preface. That's all the sutras taught before the Lotus Sutra. Then you get Act 2, the main discourse, the absolute heart of the message, which is the Lotus Sutra itself. And finally, you have the epilogue, the Nirvana Sutra, which comes at the end to confirm everything. And this whole structure wasn't just random. It was a very deliberate strategy. In Buddhism, there's a concept for this called upaya, which basically means skillful means. The idea is that the Buddha didn't just dump the ultimate truth on everyone all at once. Instead, he taught progressively, giving people the teachings they were ready for at that specific moment, gradually leading them toward the final, deepest truth. So all those earlier sutras? They were absolutely essential stepping stones. And all of this leads to one of Nichiren's most mind-blowing statements on the whole topic. He says, if one reads merely one word of the Lotus Sutra, one is reading all the various sutras. Just think about that. The interdependence is total. The part literally contains the whole. Okay, so where does this all leave us? What does it all add up to? Let's bring all these pieces together and look at Nichiren's final big picture vision. It's really all about seeing the Buddha's entire lifetime of teachings not as a bunch of separate, disconnected pieces, but as one single, complete picture. And Nichiren had some really beautiful metaphors to explain this. He said the earlier sutras aren't obsolete, not at all. They're absolutely essential. They're like the scaffolding you need to put up to build the final magnificent building. They're like the roots in the ground that nourish the ultimate flower. Or they're the stepping stones you have to walk on to get to the final destination. They're an indispensable part of one single path. But, and this is really important, this idea of integration comes with a crucial warning. This warning actually came from a monk named Saicho, who was a huge influence on Nichiren, and he said, look, if you praise the Lotus Sutra, but you dismiss all the earlier teachings, the roots, the scaffolding, then you are completely missing the point. In fact, he said you kill the heart of the very teaching you claim to love. So when you boil it all down, Nichiren's integral vision isn't about one teaching replacing another. It's about integration. It's a call to see every single word the Buddha ever taught as part of one vast, interconnected, and perfect path, a path that leads everyone toward enlightenment. And that leaves us with one last thing to think about. If a single text can actually go back and change the meaning of everything that came before it, what does that say about our own search for any kind of final truth? Maybe the truth isn't some destination we arrive at. Maybe the truth is actually the key that shows us the profound value of the entire journey. Something to think about. Thanks so much for exploring this with me today.